Officer, what seems to be the problem here?
Sir, I need to see some identification.
I was just mowing my lawn.
License and registration now.
Robert Mitchell spent 15 years saving for that house. 15 years of overtime shifts. 15 years of weekend work. 15 years of passing up vacations, new cars, nice dinners. All for one goal: own a home in a safe neighborhood where his kids could grow up. He finally bought it in March 2023. A 3-bedroom colonial on Maple Street. Nice yard. Good schools. Quiet neighbors. Well, mostly quiet. It was a Saturday afternoon. 2:47 p.m. Robert was doing what millions of homeowners do every weekend. Mowing his lawn. The sun was warm. The grass smelled fresh. His 10-year-old daughter was inside watching TV. His wife was at the grocery store. Simple. Normal. Peaceful. Then a police car pulled up. Robert didn't think much of it at first. Cops patrol neighborhoods. Nothing unusual about that. But the officer got out. Started walking toward him. Hand near his belt. Robert turned off the mower. "Can I help you, officer?" The officer's first question wasn't, "How are you?" or "Nice day, isn't it?" It was, "What are you doing here?" Robert looked at his lawnmower. Looked at his grass. Looked back at the officer. "I'm mowing my lawn? This your property?" "Yes, sir. This is my house." The officer looked at the house. Looked at Robert. Looked back at the house. "You got proof of that?" And that's when Robert understood exactly what was happening. His neighbor had called the police. Reported a suspicious black man in the neighborhood. Never mind that Robert had lived there for 8 months. Never mind that he'd waved hello to that same neighbor dozens of times. What happened next would end up in court. The body camera would capture every word. And 18 months later, a jury would award Robert Mitchell $1.4 million. Let me show you how a simple Saturday afternoon became a federal civil rights case. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. These stories need to be told. Robert Mitchell was 42, logistics coordinator at a shipping company. His wife Lisa was a nurse working night shifts. Together, they'd spent 15 years saving. Their daughter Maya was 10. Smart kid. Loved reading. Wanted to be a veterinarian. They'd rented apartments for years, moving 4 times looking for better schools and safer streets. In 2022, they finally had enough for a down payment. Maple Street was perfect. 3 bedrooms, good schools, quiet neighborhood. They closed in March 2023. Robert never forgot getting those keys. 26 years of work. Finally, he owned something. Most neighbors said hello when they moved in. Karen Whitmore next door just watched from her window. Didn't wave. Didn't introduce herself. Just watched. Robert noticed but didn't think much of it. Some people are private. No big deal. 8 months later, on a Saturday afternoon in November, Robert was outside mowing the lawn. It was one of those perfect fall days. Clear sky, cool breeze, leaves turning orange and red. Maya was inside watching cartoons. Lisa had gone to the grocery store. Robert had the afternoon to knock out yard work. Mowing, raking leaves, maybe trimming the hedges if he had time. He'd been mowing for about 20 minutes when he noticed Karen Whitmore standing on her porch. She was on her phone, looking at him, talking, looking at him again. Robert waved. She didn't wave back, just kept talking on the phone. He shrugged it off, kept mowing. What Robert didn't know was that Karen was on the phone with 911. The call went like this. 911, what's your emergency? Hi, yes. I want to report a suspicious person in my neighborhood. What's the nature of the suspicious activity? There's a black man in the yard next to mine. I don't recognize him. He's doing something with the lawn equipment. Is he breaking into the property? I don't know. But he doesn't belong here. This is a nice neighborhood. Is he armed? Is anyone in danger? No. But look, I know everyone on this street, and I've never seen him before. He could be casing houses. The dispatcher asked for the address. Karen gave it. The address of Robert's house. Her own neighbor's house. the house she'd watched him move into 8 months earlier. The call lasted 4 minutes and 38 seconds. The dispatcher sent Officer Derek Watson to investigate. Do you think the neighbor really didn't recognize him? Or did she just not want to? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Officer Derek Watson pulled up at 2:51 p.m. He'd been on the force for 6 years. His record showed 3 previous complaints about excessive force, all dismissed. He'd also been involved in 2 incidents that civil rights groups had flagged as potential racial profiling. Nothing had come of those either. He got out of his patrol car and approached Robert, who was pushing the mower across the front lawn. Robert didn't notice him at first over the sound of the engine. Watson called out. Robert looked up, surprised. He turned off the mower. "Afternoon, officer. Everything okay?" Watson didn't answer the question. "What are you doing here?" The phrasing was important. Not "what are you doing?" or "do you live here?" but "what are you doing here?" as if Robert's presence itself was the suspicious activity. "I'm mowing my lawn," Robert said, gesturing to the obvious. "This your property?" "Yes, sir. I live here." Watson looked at the house, at Robert, at the mower. His hand rested on his belt near his weapon. "You got ID?" Robert felt his stomach drop. He'd known this feeling before. Every black man in America knows this feeling. The moment when you realize you're going to have to prove you have a right to exist in a space where someone has decided you don't belong. "Officer, can I ask why you're questioning me?" "I'm just doing yard work at my own house. Someone called in a suspicious person report. I'm following up. I need to see identification." Robert wiped his hands on his jeans. They were covered in grass stains and dirt. "My ID is inside. Can I go get it?" "Slowly," Watson said. His hand stayed near his belt. Robert went to the front door, opened it. Maya looked up from the TV. "Dad, why is there a police car outside?" "It's okay, baby. Just a misunderstanding." But it wasn't a misunderstanding. Robert knew exactly what it was. He grabbed his wallet from the kitchen counter and went back outside. Handed his driver's license to Officer Watson. Watson looked at it. Looked at the house number. They matched. Robert Mitchell, 2847 Maple Street. But Watson wasn't satisfied. "You got anything else? Proof you live here?" "My license has this address on it." "Could be an old address." "You got mortgage papers?" "Utility bill." Robert felt anger rising. He pushed it down. Getting angry with a cop never ended well for black men. "Officer, my ID shows this address. I'm standing in my own yard, mowing my own lawn. What exactly is the problem here?" "The problem is someone reported suspicious activity and I'm investigating." "Suspicious activity? Mowing a lawn?" Watson's jaw tightened. "You want to keep questioning me? Or you want to go get those documents?" This was the moment. Robert could have backed down. Gone inside. Found his mortgage papers or a utility bill. Proven what shouldn't need proving. Let it go. But he didn't. Because he realized something. This was going to keep happening unless someone said enough. "Officer, I'm not getting anything else. My ID proves I live here. You have no legal grounds to demand additional documentation. If you're investigating suspicious activity, you've now verified I'm the homeowner. Your investigation is complete." Watson stepped closer. "Are you refusing to cooperate?" "I'm exercising my rights." What happened next was all captured on Officer Watson's body camera. Watson radioed for backup. He claimed he had an uncooperative individual who was possibly trespassing and refusing to comply with lawful orders. None of that was true. Robert was completely cooperative. He hadn't trespassed. He'd provided identification. And Watson's demand for additional documents wasn't a lawful order. It had no legal basis. But that's what went on the radio. And 2 more patrol cars were dispatched. While they waited, Watson ordered Robert to sit on the curb. Robert refused. "I'm not sitting on a curb in front of my own house. I haven't committed any crime. Sit down or you'll be arrested for obstruction." "Obstruction of what?" "You verified I live here." Watson's hand moved to his handcuffs. And that's when Maya came outside. "Daddy." Robert's heart dropped. He turned to see his daughter standing in the doorway, looking scared and confused. Maya, go back inside, sweetie. Why is he yelling at you? Just go inside. Now. Maya didn't move. She was crying. Officer Watson barely glanced at her. He was focused on Robert. Last chance. Sit down. Robert looked at his daughter, looked at the officer, and made a decision. He sat on the curb, in front of his own house, in front of his crying daughter, because resisting would mean getting arrested, and getting arrested would mean leaving Maya alone, and he couldn't do that. But he also pulled out his phone and started recording. I'm recording this interaction. I'm Robert Mitchell. This is my home. I have provided identification. I am being detained without cause. Watson tried to grab the phone. Robert pulled it away. You have no right to take my phone. I'm allowed to record this. The backup units arrived at 3:04 p.m. 2 more officers. They got the situation from Watson, who described Robert as hostile and non-compliant. One of the new officers, a sergeant named James Cooper, looked at the scene. A black man sitting on a curb, a lawn mower in the middle of a half-cut lawn, a little girl crying in the doorway, and 3 police cars for a suspicious person call. Something didn't add up. Cooper walked over to Robert. Sir, what's your name? Robert Mitchell. I live here. That's my daughter. I was mowing my lawn when Officer Watson approached me and demanded to know what I was doing. I showed him my ID. It matches this address. He then demanded additional proof of residence, which I declined to provide because I have no legal obligation to do so. He then called me uncooperative and called for backup. Cooper looked at Watson. You ran his ID? Yes, it matches the address. And you still called for backup? Watson's face reddened. He was being difficult. Difficult how? Questioning my authority. Cooper sighed. He'd been on the force for 20 years. He recognized what this was, and he knew it was about to become a nightmare for the department. Mr. Mitchell, I apologize for this situation. You're free to go. There's no issue here. Robert stood up slowly. I want the name and badge number of every officer present. I want the incident report. And I want the body camera footage. Cooper nodded. You're entitled to all of that. I'll make sure you get it. Watson started to object. Cooper cut him off. We're done here. The officers left. Robert stood in his front yard, shaking with anger and adrenaline. His daughter was still crying. His half-mowed lawn sat there, evidence of a normal Saturday afternoon that had gone completely wrong. Lisa came home 20 minutes later, found Robert sitting on the porch, staring at nothing. Maya was in her room, upset. The lawnmower was still in the middle of the yard. What happened? Robert told her. Every detail, every moment of humiliation. Lisa's face went hard. We're not letting this go. I know, Robert said. I already made some calls. If you were in Robert's position, what would you have done? Let me know in the comments. Within a week, Robert hired civil rights attorney Sarah Chin. She watched the body camera footage and immediately knew they had a strong case. The footage showed Watson approaching without reasonable suspicion, demanding ID for illegal activity, demanding additional proof after verification, threatening arrest for obstruction with no crime committed, calling backup while falsely describing Robert as uncooperative, and showing complete indifference to a crying child. Sarah pulled the 911 call. Hearing Karen describe her neighbor of 8 months as a suspicious black man who doesn't belong here, extended the case beyond the officer. She filed a federal lawsuit against Officer Watson, the police department, and Karen Whitmore, alleging 4th and 14th Amendment violations and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The city offered $25,000 with a confidentiality agreement. Robert refused. This wasn't about money. It was about accountability. The lawsuit triggered a deeper investigation. Sarah Chun subpoenaed police department records. What she found was damning. Officer Watson, 47 traffic stops in 2 years. 39 involved black or Hispanic drivers. Only 8 white drivers. In a district that was 60% white. Of those 47 stops, 31 demanded additional ID or proof of residence. All 31 were minorities. None were white. Karen Whitmore had called 911 6 times in 1 year. Every call reported suspicious, Black or Hispanic individuals, delivery drivers, service workers, her own neighbor. None resulted in arrests or actual suspicious activity. The pattern was undeniable. This wasn't isolated. It was systemic. The case went to trial 14 months later. Jury: 7 white, 3 black, 2 Hispanic. Sarah Chen's opening. This case is about a man mowing his lawn. Robert Mitchell was mowing his own lawn at his own house, and for that he was detained, humiliated, and threatened with arrest. Why? Because his neighbor and a police officer decided he didn't belong there. The body camera footage was played repeatedly. Each viewing made the injustice more obvious. Karen Whitmore testified. Under oath, she admitted she'd known Robert was her neighbor for 8 months. She'd seen him with his family. Then why did you call 911? Sarah asked. I just thought it was suspicious. What was suspicious about a man mowing a lawn? It just felt wrong. Wrong because he was black? Karen didn't answer. The jury saw it clearly. Officer Watson claimed he followed procedure, that Robert was hostile, that he felt threatened. Sarah played the footage. Robert calmly explaining, providing ID, asking reasonable questions, never raising his voice, never threatening. Then Maya, crying in the doorway. Did that little girl look like a threat? Officer Watson? No. Did her father? He was being non-compliant. He provided ID. He explained he lived there. He recorded the interaction, which is his right. Which part is non-compliant? Watson had no good answer. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they came back, their verdict was clear. They found Officer Watson liable for violating Robert's 4th and 14th Amendment rights. They found Karen Whitmore liable for making a false report motivated by racial bias. They found the police department liable for maintaining practices that enabled racial profiling. The damages were significant. $400,000 in compensatory damages for emotional distress and civil rights violations. $1 million in punitive damages, specifically meant to punish the conduct and deter future violations. Total $1.4 million. The courtroom was silent when the verdict was read. Robert sat quietly, his wife holding his hand. They didn't celebrate. There was nothing to celebrate. The money didn't erase what happened. It didn't take away Maya's memory of seeing her father detained in their own front yard. But it sent a message. Officer Watson was fired 3 days after the verdict. His appeal was denied. His law enforcement certification revoked. He would never work as a police officer again. Karen Whitmore sold her house and moved 6 months later. Neighbors stopped speaking to her. The police department implemented reforms. Mandatory bias training, civilian oversight of 911 calls, body cameras required, statistical monitoring of stops. Robert and Lisa stayed. They'd fought too hard to let anyone drive them out. Maya eventually stopped having nightmares. Robert donated $200,000 to civil rights legal defense organizations. Put $500,000 in Maya's college fund. Used the rest to pay off the mortgage. This case became a landmark. It's now cited in legal briefs across the country as an example of how implicit bias manifests in policing, the damages associated with racial profiling, the importance of holding individuals and institutions accountable, the role of body cameras in documenting civil rights violations. But for Robert, it's simpler than that. I just wanted to mow my lawn, he said in an interview after the verdict. I worked my whole life to afford that house, and I couldn't even do basic yard work without being treated like a criminal. That shouldn't happen to anyone. Not in their own front yard. Not in America. The body camera footage has been viewed millions of times online. It's used in training programs for law enforcement. It's shown in classrooms. It serves as a reminder that racial profiling isn't always dramatic or violent. Sometimes it's just a man mowing his lawn and being told he doesn't belong. That footage, 23 minutes long, cost the city $1.4 million. But the real cost was much higher. It was the cost of dignity, of safety, of the feeling that your home is actually yours. Robert Mitchell paid that cost. And he made sure everyone involved paid too. If the story resonates with you, hit that subscribe button and share this video. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. Because stories like this need to be told. And accountability, when it finally comes, needs to be seen. Justice doesn't always move fast. But when it moves, it leaves a mark. Thanks for watching.